Alrighty, Uncle Roddus back here with another vinyl video. It's been a wee while, and a bit of a pile here. We are now in coming up to the end of July. End of July, COVID-19 is still ravishing the world in a manner of speaking. Well, you know, it's still escalating. I mean, it's still happening. There are more and more people getting infected every day. You know, it's not slowing down. So who knows what's going to happen. We're still pretty much COVID free here in New Zealand. We've had a few new cases that have been imported with people coming home from overseas, and they have been quarantined. Most of them have been quarantined. Most of them have been good about it. But, so life is fairly normal here for us at the moment, but who knows how long that's going to last. So vinyl, there's been a lot of delayed releases because of the situation, and things. I'm not buying much from overseas, but I have ordered some from Spain, believe it or not, some reissues of some fantastic New Zealand stuff from the 70s, and that is on its way, so I don't know how that's going to pan out. I did get one that arrived from Germany that I bought before lockdown and before New Zealand was locked down, and I understand someone said that no one's posting out of Germany to New Zealand at the moment, or out of Germany to the rest of the world. I don't know how it's all working, but that was the comment I heard. Right, so I'll stop prattling on because my last video was quite long. So speaking of 1970s New Zealand rock music, I picked this one up. It's just arrived over the weekend. I was actually away down south in a town called Oamaru, where we went for a nice trip away for a weekend, and saw Nadia Reid play. She's a fantastic New Zealand singer-songwriter, and did a real intimate gig at a kind of a gallery type place down in the old town part of town, in an old Victorian grain warehouse. So yeah, that was really cool. But anyway, when I got home, this was there. Now this is Headband, Rock Garden. Excuse the lewd cover a little bit. This arrived over the weekend. I got Headband's first LP. Now Headband put 2 records out. They were a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 piece with other people helping it out. Yeah, their albums are fairly rare and never been reissued, but there is a compilation of stuff that culled from their 2 albums, which I actually have on CD, so I am familiar with a lot of this. But yeah, this has been on my want list for quite a while. Really pleased to get it. I paid almost 3 figures for it, but it was actually sitting on a website from a record shop or a record seller in the North Island for ages, and I've probably had it on my want list for and my my bookmark list for nearly a year, and I don't know why no one snapped it up. So it wasn't like really pricey, and it's playing really well, and this is what's playing in the background. So yeah, really pleased to get that. So I had both their albums. Their first LP, Happen Out, I think it's called, is fantastic. It's one of New Zealand classic New Zealand 70s rock LPs, and not really psychedelics, kind of really, a lot of influences there, and it's a fantastic record. I picked it up for $20. Normally sells well over 100, but it was in pretty rough condition. But I did clean it through the record cleaner, and it is. I mean, it's noisy, but it's playable. And once the music's playing, it does drown it out. Anyway, I had a few stuff come in from that has been kind of on my they've been pre-ordered. Now I don't think I showed this in my last video, so and if I have, I'm sorry. So I'm going to show it again if I did. But this came in not that long ago, into Orbitkinesis. This was their 3rd LP. It's been a long time coming. Now they took pre-orders before Christmas last year, in 2019. They took pre-orders, so I've seen them live play once or twice, and I've got all their records so far, and I've really pleased with this. So I ended up downloading the because I bought it off their Bandcamp, and I ended up downloading it. Anyway, this is post rocky sort of stuff, instrumental rock, really good album. Yeah, they're growing. I think they're growing into themselves more and more, and each album seems to have been better and better. Although I do understand that they've kind of decided that they've done all they can do in this incarnation. So yeah, this they had some real major issues with the pressings, and were getting it pressed in the local pressing plant, but they tried twice. There is the label there, their own label, so it's self-released. Yeah, they had some issues, and I think it was because what happens, I understand, is that the stampers for the pressings get made overseas and then sent back to New Zealand or sent to New Zealand, and then they press them up here. And it sounds like, because Holiday Records, I've got a lot of records come out of them, and they really must be doing really, really well, because I think they're really busy just pressing. All the records that have come out of them have been fantastic quality, but now they just they tried twice and gave up and went overseas and got it pressed overseas, so it finally showed up after lockdown. Now, the one I mentioned before that I had waiting from Germany, which I purchased before lockdown, is this one here. Now, again, I'm not sure if I showed this in my last video or not. Clear Path Ensemble. I think it's a self-titled thing. Released via Cosmic Compositions, I think that says. God, the writing is so tiny I can't read it. And distributed via HHV out of Germany, which is why I brought it off the HHV Discogs sales. I bought from them before, actually, a while back. Yeah, but this is New Zealand, quirky sort of New Zealand jazz, and it's a very good record. I am super impressed and really pleased that it finally turned up. So that's been getting a bit of hammering. Another self-released one that's turned up, that's been waiting a wee while, is Tuscoma. This is, I think, their second LP. This again is self-released. It is a double LP gatefold. This is sludgy, doomy, sort of metally, sort of roary vocals sort of stuff. Yeah, interesting. But there's some interesting stuff on here. It's not my normal sort of music, but there is some pretty cool stuff on there, and I think it's a pretty good record overall. I know Chris mentioned and played a track off their earlier or first record recently on one of his podcast shows, and he was thinking about getting this. I highly recommend you getting it, Chris. I think there's some great stuff on here. Not something I would normally buy, but get into. But another one just come off the Bandcamp site. Their Bandcamp site is a new one from Lamp of the Universe. And God, they've got quite a few records out now. Craig Williamson out of North Island. This one is on a blue vinyl, as you can see there. Yep, so pretty usual sort of stuff, sort of spiritual, rocky vocals on this in there, yeah. Psychedelic, spiritual, psychedelia, I don't know what you call it, whatever. I did forget, I think, to show that this Tuscoma record is on coloured vinyl. Now let me see, hang on. Yes, it is. It's on this bright, or this very deep red, which looks brighter on the video screen there. So lots of coloured vinyl actually coming in at the moment. As a matter of fact, I was doing a clean up the other day, and I took a picture of all the records sitting on the table after they'd been through the cleaning machine, just making sure they were drying off and I hadn't missed any wet spots on them, and it was a rather colourful display actually, and that was one of the ones that was on display. And what else we got there? More coloured vinyl. Another one again I bought off, I think, their Bandcamp site, Racing Real Dancing. This is, now what did I describe this as? Electric 6 was one of my reference points. I can't remember what the other one was now, so it's kind of rocky, dancey kind of stuff on this really bright pink vinyl. Yeah. It's interesting. I look at the vinyl and then I look at my little screen here that's videoing, and the colour actually looks quite different on the screen. It's quite interesting. So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like. But it's a very pink, very pink. So yeah, I've only played that a couple of times, but I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's got a commercial feel to it though. Yeah, not what I call so much alternative, although it is in a way. But what was the other reference? I know Electric 6 was the reference I made, but there was another reference that I can't bloody remember. Anticipation has finally been sated with this, the Beth's new album, Jump Rope Gazers. This is pretty fresh out. And also on, now the last one I think of theirs was on bright yellow, or this one's on bright orange vinyl. So yes, like I say, lots of colourful vinyl. So the Biffs, you know, they put out their first LP last year or the year before. No, last year. Or no, it might have been late the year before. And it was fantastic. Indie pop punk record. Really great, lots of hooks and lots of cool shit happening. This one here, to be honest, hasn't really connected with me. It's the same. It's the same stuff. There's nothing, you know, that the rabid Biffs fan's going to be disappointed about, apart from the fact that I just don't think it's as good. I've played it a few times and it hasn't really fired me up yet. There is some good stuff happening, but it needs more attention. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, slightly underwhelmed and disappointed. Now, I don't think I showed these, or especially this one, on my last video, but you never know, and if I did, apologies again, but it's been a wee while, and you know, I'm a bit out of sorts with it all. This is a compilation of New Zealand music from the 1982 to 1981. It's called Kiwi Animals, Future Primitive Aotearoa, 82 to 91. And there, yeah, this is a really cool, interesting compilation. Some stuff I was familiar with. The Kiwi Animal, I think I showed the reissue of their stuff recently. Headless Chickens I've shown before. Blam Blam Blam, who were a massive alternative band in the 90s, 80s. Yeah, so interesting compilations, really interesting stuff. It's nice to see some comps, because there hasn't been a lot of compilations coming out of New Zealand recently of older or newer stuff. I mean, there was those 60s ones which I picked up, but you know, compared with the old days when there was a lot more compilations coming out, there's not a lot nowadays, so nice to have that. And then another compilation, this is far more contemporary, the 112 Party off 112 Records. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, look, something like 12 tracks off 112. Now I have most of the 112 catalogue now, apart from some of the 45s that they released. I think I have pretty much all the LPs that they've released. And this one is on transparent vinyl, and this is really grungy, garagey sort of stuff, most of it. Yeah, pretty much. It's a great compilation. Stuff like the Cavemen, I've shown their stuff before, and Vincent H. Eller's album that came out. Blood Bags, I showed their newer record, came out. The Hallelujah Picassos, they put out a record last year or so, Echo O's. But there are some other stuff, guys, that I've never heard of or don't know on here, like Dick Move, Tombs, The Golden Geese, King K, a Jew. Libretta Suede and Motel 6, I've heard of them and heard some of their stuff. But yeah, great compilation, really cool. So yeah, not all of them have albums out on this label, but yeah, interesting artwork on the cover. So yeah, nice to get some New Zealand compilations and some contemporary stuff. I mean, there's not a lot of contemporary music compilations coming out at all in New Zealand, on vinyl anyway. And then finally, the only overseas release, although I do have some overseas releases coming in the mail soon for my next video perhaps. Yes, is Neil Young's finally issued a homegrown LP, a record that he recorded in something like 1975, and it got sort of never got released and filed away amongst all the other stuff he was recording. He was a fairly busy man at that stage. Yeah, great record, very nice, sounds great, quality wise, you know, it sounds fantastic. Of course, I think the title track I was familiar with, but so, of course some songs I don't know. I mean, this has been bootlegged I think for many years. Of course, What Love Is a Rose, of course, is a great track. Probably the highlight on this record, which was, I think it turned up from memory on the Decades compilation. And Homegrown, I've somehow heard before somewhere, but like I say, this was an unreleased record, but it has been bootlegged many times. So yeah, that's a small selection of, well, that's my selection of recent, over the last month and a bit. Yeah, so it might be another month before my next video. I do have, like I say, I actually do have a reasonable amount of vinyl coming in the post at the moment, so maybe sooner than later than the next video. But the record store day sales, of course, never happened, but my local Penny Lane has mentioned to us a couple of times that they are going to have their annual 50% off sale, but they just haven't made a date. They were going to do it at the end of this month, or was it the end of last month, and then it was the end of this month. They keep putting it off, I don't know, so I'm a bit buggered about that, because I've got a whole lot of money sitting there ready to go, and if they wait too long, I'll end up spending it on other things. So let's see what happens, because that's you know, I usually pick up 30 odd records at that sale of stuff, you know, that I probably wouldn't normally buy. So yeah, fingers crossed that happens soon. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you again. See ya.